Welcome back. I'm still here with Dorothy Njumanzi, a women's rights activist. And now I want to look at the issue of child marriage. The recent cases of the young girls, Eze Aruru and Patience Paul, highlight early marriage. What are the drivers behind child marriage? Why does it happen in Nigeria? And what are the statistics across the country?
Well, we've been deceiving ourselves for long here. A child is a minor. A minor is anybody beneath 18 years old. And so a child cannot consent to sexual activity. Sexual activity is reserved for adults. So until our laws come out clean and clear and back us up all the way and ensure that sexual activity is reserved only for adults, then we're just going to continue having deliberate excuses for people having sexual activity with minors, whatever the guise is. There is no excuse whatsoever. I mean, the whole 18 years old is to prepare you physically, mentally, and otherwise to be able to bring in children into the world and raise the children. A lot of the problems we have these days are because of issues of not having proper upbringing. So we need to ensure that there is deliberate effort at ensuring that those who get to raise children have something to impart, into these children. We have not, the prevalence is not just in the northern Nigeria, in states like Ebonyi. I mean, the VVF rates, for instance, there is higher than some northern states.
Can you go into some of the detrimental challenges, the detrimental implications of child marriage? What actually happens and what's detrimental for the girl child?
The most detrimental thing is, aside the trauma of having the rape, because it's rape. I mean, the child is not prepared for the activity. The child is manipulated to believing that the child is supposed to enjoy or is supposed to accept or is supposed to just take it, or manage for whatever the duration of time, Aside that manipulation and the trauma that comes with the rape, the child has nothing to impart to other children. That's children, when a child is with child, what does the child have to do with the child other than play with the child? Adults bring up children, children play with children. So let's get ourselves to the stage where we have adults that can bring up children. So let's nurture our girls until they become full-blown adults and they have enough to impart to children.
So what needs to be done to actually end child marriage in Nigeria?
The police needs to take up all cases reported to the police. I mean, the IG of police about a month ago he emphasized that issues of sexual violence and sexual violence and domestic violence issues should stop being treated as civil cases by the police and thrown out of the police stations. They should be taken seriously. So when such things are taken seriously, the state owes it as a responsibility to the kid to protect the kid from any sort of manipulations cooked up in whatever guise. The police is the one to act in the place of the state. So the police should stop making excuses and actually go. And then where there are people or policemen identified for not having done what they should do, please, there should be stiff penalties for such people to serve as deterrents for other policemen that subvert the processes of law.
And you also mentioned the adoption of the laws within the state to actually help. The Child Act 2003 is one piece of legislation that hasn't been adopted across the board in states. What's the consequence of that, and how can states be encouraged to actually adopt this piece of legislation?
It beats my imagination how we get together a group of people from every state that represent us, and then they take long processes in the National Assembly, and after the laws are wonderfully passed, we come back and start another process of politicking. Meanwhile, the laws that have come into play could be saving lives. Child Rights Act, Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act. There is no reason every Nigerian should not be enjoying the full benefits of these. Any state that hasn't implemented those acts in their places is being wicked to its citizenry, and should, as a matter of urgency, ensure that the citizenry are given more humane treatment. I mean, what else can human beings ask for? These help people to be better treated as human beings. These ensure human dignity for children and for human beings generally. So why politicize it? Why politic with it? I mean, the basic you should have, something that you should not go below is what is adopted or what is passed into law at the national level. That's one thing you shouldn't go. You can make additional laws at your own state level, but we should start first things first by implementing the ones that are at the national level without any waste of time.
And what about education? Can we look at that? What's the position of education? Is it still a big challenge for the girl child in Nigeria? Is this still a major national challenge?
Well, I'll start addressing the issue of education from the home front. Girls are raised to be human beings, and boys are raised to just keep growing, knowing fully well that there's some girl who's been nurtured somewhere that is supposed to, you know, have self-control on his behalf, and that is supposed to take care of his messes. That's wrong. That's a general thing that a lot of people do. So from the home front, you know, there's the deliberate thing of, okay, you're supposed to, that's the best education a lot of girls seem to get. A lot of people don't think that since I've given my daughter good home training, she deserves additional education, you know, but she really does deserve additional education, which is in the schools. Representation in the schools, we're getting better, but there's still a lot of improvement to be done.
So from your work and your experience, you've got a diverse background. What would you say is your hope for Nigeria, Nigerian women in particular? Well,
first things first, our national orientation needs to be looked into. National Orientation Agency needs to sit up. I mean, there are a lot of crises we faced in the last year that could have been averted had the National Orientation Agency been more proactive. A lot of crises we faced last year were brought about by people feeding lies into the social media, and they blew out, you know, out of proportion. But with the National Orientation Agency being better poised to serve the people, you know, we're bound to get a lot more things right. And then victim-sensitive responses. A lot of victims. We have a lot of people in the rural areas, so where there is sexual violence against children, those people who are uneducated get to be the ones to decide, you know, to push for justice or to decide to push, even though the religious leaders and the rest are pushing for alternative dispute resolution, but they decide to go to courts and everything. So until we engage the systems and ensure that our systems are victim sensitive, you know, we need to understand that the person who goes to the hospital and says, I was just raped, actually needs to be treated better than a hair. So waiting you will go there, why you come out like that, you know. We should stop turning victims away. We should stop pushing out. They say, he who fights and runs away lives to fight another day. So that's how we're recycling our problems. We should face our problems head on, and, you know, the sky is our limit.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us.
Nice being here.
Thank you. Thank you for your mails, as always. Keep your views and comments coming using the address and Twitter handle on your screen. You can also let us know anything happening within your area, especially if you're in the nation's capital. Don't forget, you can view the programme on youtube.com/channelsweb/videos. You can make your comments after viewing the videos. Always remember to include your name and where you're writing from. I'm Pt.3. See you next week.